going on? Why am I not seeing the results I should be? Are you spending hours at the gym but not seeing the results you want? Are you feeling frustrated, exhausted, and maybe even ready to give up? I'm here to tell you that you might be wasting your time. Welcome to the Body and Mind Centre. I'm Lindsay, your friend on this journey of movement, empowerment, and education for both your body and your mind. Having been working in this lovely industry since 2006, I'm here to help you uncover the common mistakes that could be holding you back when trying to bring your physical health into fruition. I'll break down the difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercise, when to use each depending on your goals, and how to overcome your mind blocks. By the end of this video, you'll have the education you need to maximise your workouts and finally see the results you deserve. So let's get into it. We all start our health journey with high hopes and determination, whether it's losing weight, building muscle, toning up, or just wanting to feel better in our bodies. But along the way, we face obstacles that make progress feel impossible. Here are some of the common struggles people often face. Lack of progress. There you are, working hard, but the results just aren't showing. Fatigue and burnout. You feel exhausted all the time and the workouts feel like an absolute chore. Confusion about workouts. You're not sure which exercises are best for your goals. Diet and nutrition challenges. You're working out but not eating in a way that truly supports your goals. Or you're on a diet but not seeing a change. Inconsistency. Let's be honest, life gets busy. Things get thrown our way that we don't expect, and it's hard to stick to that routine. Any of these sound familiar? Don't worry, I promise you that you are not alone. In fact, you're amongst the many. The fact is, a lot of people are working out incorrectly for their goals or needs. The key is understanding how to work smarter, not just harder. And that starts with knowing the difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercise. The good news is, unless you're training for a marathon, it may be time to ditch that mundane cardio. The days of go hard or go home are no longer the mantras you need to burden yourself with. God, I remember those days. There's a lot of confusion about the types of exercise we should do and which is best for different goals. This often results in people training ineffectively and kind of wasting their time. There are two types of training, aerobic and anaerobic training. So let's look at those and break them down. Let's first look at aerobic exercise. So the definition of aerobic exercise, also known as cardio, is any physical activity that uses your oxygen to produce energy. It's typically performed at a moderate intensity, but for an extended period of time. So, how does it work? During aerobic exercise, your body relies on oxygen to break down carbohydrates and fats for energy. This allows you to sustain the activity over time without fatigue setting in too quickly. Examples of this could be running, cycling, swimming, brisk walking, dancing, rowing, When you're working aerobically, you should be able to breathe through your nose and talk in full sentences without gasping for air. So this is a really good indication. Your heart rate should be moderately elevated within the aerobic zone. What's that? So this is typically around 60 to 80% of your maximum heart rate. And this is where the breathing is a really good indicator, because if you are struggling to talk in full sentences or you are gasping for air, you've come out of the aerobic zone. You've likely gone above that 80%. So that's telling you you actually need to slow things down a little bit. So overall, your effort level should be a comfortable effort, and you should be able to sustain that activity for extended periods of time. Now, that may be something you need to extend over time. So, what's the benefits of aerobic training? It strengthens the cardiovascular system and improves your heart health. It increases lung capacity and efficiency, enhances endurance and stamina, and it aids in fat loss by increasing calorie burn. It reduces stress and anxiety by triggering the release of endorphins. Yeah, those feel good hormones that we like. So that's aerobic exercise. Now let's look at anaerobic exercise. So again, let's look at the definition. Anaerobic exercise is high intensity, short duration activities that does not rely on oxygen for the energy. Instead, it uses stored energy sources. So, how does that work? These exercises create energy quickly but cannot be sustained for long periods of time because they produce lactic acid, leading to muscle fatigue. So, examples of this would be things like weightlifting, sprinting, not jogging and not running, HIIT training, so that's your high intensity interval training, plyometrics, jumping ropes at high intensity, things like that. During anaerobic exercise, you will experience rapid breathing. You will likely be gasping for air or breathing very heavily when exercising. You will have an elevated heart rate. So your heart rate will be significantly high and usually reaching 80 to 90% of your maximum heart rate. So going back to that aerobic, we were talking about you should be able to still have a reasonable conversation with somebody. When you're working anaerobically, this should be much more challenging. So you kind of should suffer with the inability to hold a conversation. You might find it difficult to speak in full sentences due to the high rate breathing. If you can still hold a comfortable conversation, then you're likely not quite there yet. So you've got to push harder. So what's the benefits of working anaerobically? Anaerobic training builds and strengthens muscles, leading to improved power and force generation. This boosts your metabolism by increasing muscle mass, which burns more calories at rest. So this is excellent for fat loss. It enhances overall athletic performance by improving speed, agility, and explosive power. It improves bone density, which goes on to reducing the risk of osteoporosis. It increases post-exercise oxygen consumption, meaning you continue to burn calories even after you finish working out. And I say it again, excellent for fat loss. Both types of these exercises have their place in a well-rounded fitness or health routine, but knowing when to use each is key. So let's take a deeper look at this now. Now that we understand the difference between aerobic training and anaerobic training, let's talk about when to use each type of the training based on your goals. The most common one, if your goal is weight loss, or as I like to say, fat loss, I recommend a combination of both aerobic and anaerobic exercise works best. But remember, you need to break down any excess fat in the body first, then look at toning and building muscle after. Otherwise, what you're doing is you're putting muscle on top of fat. Aerobic exercise burns calories and improves endurance. Anaerobic exercise breaks down the fat, tones up, and then builds muscle, which helps increase metabolism over time. So, what about if your goal is muscle building? Focus primarily on anaerobic training. So, weightlifting, resistance exercise, HIIT training. Include short bursts of cardio for overall health, like sprints or HIIT training, but avoid excessive aerobic training that might interfere with muscle gains. Now, if your goal is endurance training, so this is things like marathons and increased heart health, you need to prioritize your aerobic exercise. So, like long distance running, swimming, power walking, cycling. Strength training, so anaerobic training, should still be included occasionally to maintain your muscle balance. The key takeaway here is your workout plan needs to match your goal. If you're spending time doing the wrong type of exercise, you either won't get the results you want or getting the results will take a longer period of time. Frustrating, huh? Ever heard the saying, abs are made in the kitchen? Or what about you can't outtrain a bad diet? Regardless what your health goals are, I'm here to tell you both these quotes are true. Well, to an extent anyway. You can't outtrain a bad diet. This means that no matter how much you exercise, it's not enough to counteract the negative effects of a poor diet. Now, this subject alone is a whole other episode. But what I want to touch on here is once we have established the type of workouts we need for our health goals, that essentially you cannot burn off the calories from an unhealthy diet through exercise alone, unless you are making exercise a full-time job. And I mean doing 7 days a week, maybe sometimes even twice a day. So I just want to touch on it briefly here to complement what we have learned so far. But I will go into this subject in a lot more details in a future episode. So your calorie intake matters. It's easier to consume a large amount of calories from unhealthy food than it is to burn them off through exercise. Now, let me give you an example here. I love chocolate. If I wanted to out-train that chocolate bar, I would need to walk for 90 minutes at a regular and steady pace or jog for 25 to 30 minutes at a regular and steady pace to burn that off. So, as you can see, that small pleasure could have quite a negative impact. I'm not saying give up the chocolate. Hell, there's no way I'd give up my chocolate. But we need to think about the calories we are taking into our bodies. Even with regular exercise, a bad diet can still lead to negative health consequences, things like diabetes and heart conditions. It's important to get balance. To optimise health, both a good diet and regular exercise are necessary. And I say this again, this doesn't mean cutting out all those things you enjoy. I wouldn't. It just simply means enjoying them in moderation. In a nutshell, if you aren't also being mindful of what you're putting in your body, then it can make the exercising more challenging and defeating, which often leads to us giving up. So let's wrap things up. If you've been putting in the time but not seeing the results, you might be making some common mistakes. Understanding the difference between aerobic and anaerobic exercise and when to use each can completely transform your workouts. Make sure your training aligns with your goals and ensure your diet isn't making things harder for you. I hope you have found this video helpful. I'd love to engage with you more, so leave me a comment below letting me know what your fitness goal is and if you can relate to any of these struggles. And if you're ready to take your health journey to the next level, stay tuned for more expert tips and strategies. Until next time, always remind yourself that the gift of health is keeping you alive.